The front tires of my 1967 Chevy C10 lifted off the ground with a deep mechanical groan, chains rattling as they tightened around the axles. My coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the porch railing before I could process the scene. My truck, the one my late wife Clara and I had lovingly restored, parked neatly on my gravel drive, was being hoisted by a flatbed tow truck. Standing beside it, smug as a victor, was Eleanor Caldwell, president of an HOA that had no jurisdiction over my land, brandishing a neon clipboard like a crown. That truck wasn't just metal. It was memories carved into every weld, every layer of paint. My fists clenched as I stepped off the porch, not shouting. Not yet. The fire was building, and Eleanor had no idea she'd lit the fuse. She was mid-smirk when I approached, her floral perfume hitting me like a discount candle. She sized me up, eyes narrowing as if I were a nuisance. "You can't park junk like this where people see it," she said, voice thick with contempt. "This road's part of our community aesthetic." I pointed at the truck, my voice steady but sharp. "That's on my property, Eleanor. You're trespassing." Her laugh was cutting, all teeth and arrogance. "We voted last week. It's an eyesore. It had to go." I wanted to demand who gave her authority over my ranch land she'd never stepped foot on until her HOA rules and Instagram dreams took over, but I held back. The tow truck driver shifted nervously, glancing between us, sensing he'd stumbled into a storm. Eleanor barked, "Keep going." He shrugged and obeyed. My boots crunched on gravel as I stepped back, arms folded, watching the chains pull tight, the tires dangle. I stood like a man witnessing a theft he couldn't yet stop. But Eleanor couldn't know, that the gravel road she'd used to invade my property, the one winding through pines to her pristine cul-de-sac, wasn't hers. It was mine, legally, quietly, undeniably mine. That night, sleep eluded me. I sat at the kitchen table, a glass of bourbon untouched, my grandfather's faded property maps spread out. My fingers traced the lines. The gravel road had once been a county route, rerouted years ago when the city shifted traffic. The HOA assumed it was theirs by default, but proximity isn't ownership. The easement expired a decade ago, and I'd never renewed it, keeping the land and its secret. They'd driven it for years, oblivious, until Eleanor crossed the line. By morning, I walked the road's edge, photographing survey stakes still poking from the soil. I unearthed an old sign buried in weeds, "Private road, no trespassing," and propped it against the fence, not to threaten but to remind. Eleanor returned the next day, her oversized SUV blasting classical music, a visor so wide it seemed to block her reason. She stepped out, phone filming, accusing me of intimidation and claiming HOA support against rural blight. I stood by the barn, silent, arms crossed, letting her rant. I didn't mention the county records, the expired easement, or how I could legally seal their only access with 2 gates and a padlock. I wasn't here to tell Eleanor anything. I was here to show her. The tow yard called, claiming my truck was abandoned. I laughed bitterly, driving down with the title and photos proving it was on my land. The clerk, embarrassed, waived the fee. I towed it back but parked it across the road this time, setting up a folding chair beside it. Each evening, I sat there, sipping iced tea, reading the paper, waving at HOA residents as they slowed, confused or outraged. One man, Eleanor's husband, maybe, demanded why I was blocking their road. I smiled. "Just maintaining my private road." He threatened HOA retaliation. I said the HOA didn't own it. The truth was seeping through the cracks Eleanor had opened. I made quiet calls, legal ones, to the county, confirming the easement's expiration, while Eleanor rallied a community watch to monitor my truck. I drafted paperwork to revoke road access, needing only patience and 2 steel gates. Her HOA newsletter branded my truck an eyesore hazard, ignoring its legal parking and her trespass. Neighbors grew distant. The couple who bought my eggs stopped, citing health concerns. Eleanor wanted me isolated, reactive. She didn't know I played the long game. I installed gates, sturdy steel, at both road ends. One near the HOA cul-de-sac, one by the highway. Keypad boxes hinted at restricted access, though I didn't lock them yet. The gates alone sparked panic. Eleanor stormed up, flanked by board members, shrieking about neighborhood harmony. I asked for a law I'd broken. She had none. The easement's expired, I said. This road's mine. Permission required. Her face twisted. You can't cut off access. That's criminal. I invited her to call the sheriff. She did. Deputy Harris, a fishing buddy, reviewed my deed, survey, and tow photos, then turned to Eleanor. He owns it. Without an easement, it's his call. Her fury was tangible, but she retreated, her entourage trailing like chastised kids. That night, I locked the gates, setting codes only I knew, posting signs. Private road, no access without permission. Chaos erupted. School buses couldn't enter. Trash trucks lined the highway. Delivery vans turned back. Eleanor, in a silk robe, pounded the gate with a spatula, screaming about public safety. I stayed silent. By 9 a.m., Harris returned, Eleanor waving a typed manifesto. He dismissed it. Civil matter, not criminal. He's within his rights. He noted the alternate Cedar Hollow Road, less convenient but legal. Convenience stung Eleanor. She'd built her reign on it, and now it was gone. Residents flooded my phone. Some angry, others curious. I shared my paperwork, leaving copies in a weatherproof box by the gate. Eleanor's narrative unraveled as truth spread. She called an emergency meeting, labeling me a land extortionist. But residents pushed back, demanding why she towed my truck without verifying the road's status. Her allies wavered. The board grew nervous. During the meeting, a resident shouted, "We're united, just not with you." Eleanor fled the stage. A petition to oust her gained traction, securing enough signatures that night. The acting vice president, Mark, sent a letter acknowledging my ownership and seeking access talks, noting Eleanor's suspension. I left a $1 per year lease proposal in the Dropbox, contingent on Eleanor's resignation and a public apology. Eleanor made one last stand, parking outside the gate, staring at my porch. After 30 minutes, she spoke, voice low. I was protecting the neighborhood. I thought I was right. You towed my truck, lied, tried to bulldoze conservation land. I replied. That's not protection. She admitted. I didn't know the easement expired. I stayed silent. She drove off, defeated. Her resignation and apology, stiff, unrepentant, posted online, and the HOA voted to accept my lease. Gates remained, but codes were shared for essential traffic. A team delivered a note from residents inviting me to a community dinner. I sent eggs and honey, writing, "No hard feelings, just respect the fence." At dusk, I sat by the gate, the road quiet, peace earned. A photo appeared taped to the gate, my restored truck gleaming, with a note. "Thank you for standing your ground." The road hummed with life. Buses, deliveries, neighbors waving, knowing whose it was. Debate lingered. Was I a petty tyrant or a righteous defender? Some saw Eleanor as a victim of overreach. Others hailed her downfall as justice for HOA hubris. The gates stood, a line in the gravel, guarding a legacy no one could tow. The aftermath solidified Cedar Hollow's transformation. Eleanor Caldwell's ousting made headlines. HOA president tows truck, loses road in rural showdown. Residents elected Mark as permanent HOA president, implementing bylaws requiring transparency. Public votes on rules, verified property records before enforcement, and no fines without legal backing. Eleanor faced a civil lawsuit from me for trespass and property damage, settling out of court for $10,000, which I donated to a local conservation trust in Clara's name. The HOA issued a formal apology, published in the Cedar Hollow Gazette, acknowledging Eleanor's overreach and my rightful ownership. The lease agreement held, with the HOA paying $1 annually for road access, a symbolic nod to accountability. I installed permanent signs, private road, access by permission, and upgraded the gates with solar-powered cameras, ensuring no future trespasses. Neighbors returned, the egg-buying couple among them, apologizing for distancing themselves. I welcomed them back, sharing honey from my hives. Cedar Hollow Road, once a point of contention, became a community asset, with residents volunteering to maintain its gravel for shared use. The HOA hosted a unity picnic, where I brought my truck, now a local legend, for kids to climb on. Mark toasted, "To Cedar Hollow, where respect rules the road." Deputy Harris jokingly suggested I run for HOA president, but I declined. "I'm just a rancher who loves his truck," I said. The county recognized my land's conservation status, protecting it from future HOA overreach. A year later, I sat by the gate, C10 gleaming in the drive, a new photo of Clara and me restoring it taped inside. The road was mine, but so was the peace, earned through patience, proof, and a truth Eleanor couldn't tow away. Some still debated my methods, but most saw the gates as a stand for justice, a reminder that no clipboard outranks ownership. Cedar Hollow thrived, its cul-de-sac no longer a throne for hubris, but a circle of neighbors who waved, knowing the road's story. My legacy wasn't just the truck. It was a line in the gravel, proving one man's stand can shift a community's path.